In a world full of noise and uncertainty, IG is the investment platform that backs you. Forget the dubious tips from that guy down the pub. Get real-time insights, analysis and tools. No more fat cat brokers clawing your gains. Pay zero commission on your investments. Switch to a platform trusted by investors for over 50 years. IG. Trade, invest, progress.
Good afternoon, everybody. Yes, we're back. We're back. It's Tuesday, the 10th of March. It's not only the oil roller coaster, but it's day one of Cheltenham. Yes, it is my favorite week of the year. Last night felt like Christmas Eve. I wish I was there today, but no, sadly, I am sitting here next to this idiot. How are you, buddy?
Hello, mate. Tuesday, here we go again.
You got zero interest in Cheltenham, have you? Zero.
No, it's not zero. I've actually got a very good mate of mine who's heavily involved in it. He owns a betting company. I've just don't have time to swan off and do these kind of things. Mate. I've got markets to trade.
Markets to trade, and yes, trading we have been. So don't you worry, those of you that want to take a look at that race, we'll be going on a break about 1:25, I think it is. Not for the whole race, but for the second half, the bit that counts, because I want to see it as well. So, Piers, anything been happening in the markets the last few days?
Not really, nothing really to see here. Yeah, I mean, listen, it's a fascinating time, and I mean, we've been treated, if you want, for want of a better word, as traders and people who are learning about markets to some pretty historic moves in the commodity space. We dealt with the silver situation. Now we're dealing with an oil situation. Very, very different commodities with different drivers, but nonetheless supply shocks showing what happens when price breaks. Sunday night, we opened up and we were up 31% on an RSI of about 98 at one point.
Sure, it's up.
And then, of course, we reversed 40% intraday yesterday. It was the most extraordinary day for oil I've ever seen in my life.
Absolutely. I mean, we had silver last month. Now we've got oil. I mean,
we're being treated.
It just doesn't happen, right? It's absolutely astronomical moves. I got myself into a whole world of trouble.
We all did.
I think I was short. So I was short £2 at $95.
Yeah.
And then I shorted more.
Yeah. Oh, that's very unlike you.
Another pound.
Yeah.
So I was short £3.
Please tell me you sold another one and just
104.
held on to it, mate.
I woke up at 3:45 a.m. and I was like, what? 112. So it was at 112 at that
120 at one point. Yeah.
So I shorted another £4 a point at 112.
Wow. Please tell me you held on to it, mate.
And, well, I went back to sleep. So I go back to sleep.
So calming.
And when I wake up, I've got 3 notifications on my phone, right?
Yeah.
Not only had I gone short, but on Sunday, we've got a WhatsApp group. I went out on the WhatsApp group and said, look, here's my thinking why I want to short oil. And I want to put on decent size if it goes above 100.
Yeah.
Right.
Never mind 120.
So I wake up and I've got 2 notifications at 6 a.m. The first notification is somebody saying, how's that going for you?
Yeah.
Maybe you should stick to broadcasting rather than forecasting.
Yeah.
Not even as a joke. Just a full on.
That didn't age well at 1:15, did it?
So that was sent at, I think, 5 a.m.
Yeah.
And then the second notification I had on my phone was G7 leaders discussing. So I already knew that that's probably done well. So the excitement as I opened my phone and it was trading at 104.
Sweet.
So at that point,
what was your average price in the end?
So my average price was 107.
Okay, so you agree you were in the money.
But I also put on some option structures
that
are absolutely beautiful. Probably one of the best trades of my life.
Oh my God, no wonder you're in a good mood.
Here is the first one. It's a 112.95 put spread. So I put this on at 4:15 in the morning, something like this. You can see I paid $607 and then received. It was actually a 1x2, but I've taken a bit off. Right, that is paying me, I don't know, something like 3,000. But better than that, so much better than that, is this little puppy here.
Oh yeah.
So
look how many positions you've got. It's insane.
I am long the 90 puts for April expiry. It's May expiry, but it expires in April. But 4 times the size, I've said I will buy oil at 60. So I'm short at 90, I'll buy it at 60. And then I was also short the 125 calls. That is paying out a beautiful total of $5,000.
Nice, mate.
And that is why we are showing a P&L of up 9,000.
Yep.
But you see the funds are down to 94. So that was some of the shit positions that I took the loss on as markets came off. So we've lost 5,000 those, but then made 9,000
Okay.
in the positions that we've still got on. So all in all, I'd say that it's been a get out of jail free card.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's the thing about these commodity moves is that, I mean, you know, you could quite rightly question why we touch them at all because it's so spicy. But again, let's just be clear for the viewers. These are situations which we haven't seen before. Literally, the moves in oil and the moves in silver, and this is an amazing thing to be able to say, are the most aggressive in history. And if you consider what's happened in history, it's quite extraordinary. It's very hard, you know, as someone who's, you know, done this professionally for a long time, to not do what you were doing and doing what, you know, I was helping a friend do exactly the same thing on Sunday night. I had very little sleep. In fact, I had about 45 minutes sleep for that exact reason. But by the end of the day, it's a very different picture.
Well, that's it. You put in the time, you put in the effort, and it doesn't normally pay off as quickly as that, but you know that...
No, I mean, it was actually awesome, right? It was one day. Silver was a whole different kettle of fish. It was more like 3 weeks of pain.
Yeah.
But, you know, you've got to be careful, though, right? Because, I mean, you can see what the market wants to do, given the slightest opportunity. But then we're dealing with headlines now that there's oil tankers being blown up in Abu Dhabi, and Pete Hegseth is telling us it's the most aggressive day so far in terms of their strikes. So, and oil's creeping back up again, but the thing is, it's exciting because I kind of want it to have one more go. You can short it again, right? Because
I tell you what, if it gets up to 95 tomorrow, then we're really in the perfect.
We're back in the zone. I mean, Trump says a lot of stuff, and you've got to take it all with a pinch of salt. But I mean, I think I do take him seriously when he says to the Iranians, if you interfere with the traffic in the Strait of Hormuz, we're going to step this up aggressively. So we'll see. But at the moment, there are a few ships sneaking through.
Yeah.
So it's not completely dead, but the problem is there's now a huge, you know, as everyone can imagine, there's 100 million barrels a day. Only 4 days of global supply, 400 million barrels was the strategic petroleum reserve implied by the European countries. It's like a tiny band-aid on a big problem.
Well, hang on. No, let's go through the actual maths of that, right? Yeah. So we are now missing 21 million barrels a day.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
Now that can be realigned. It can be put through a different venue up to 6 million barrels. So we're down to 15. So we're losing 15 million barrels a day.
Yeah.
The US can pump 4.
Yeah, 4 extra more, you mean? 4 more.
4, yeah. From
so doing 13 and a half. Oh, sorry, from the strategic. Sorry,
reserve.
Got you. Yeah.
So that 15, just with the US, can come down to 11. The rest of the world can do another 2 or 3.
Yep.
So then you're still missing 8 million barrels a day.
Should we call it 10% of global supply just to be rounded up and be aggressive?
Okay.
Sure.
Now, some of that comes from inventories.
Yeah.
Right? You've got a lot of inventories out there. So that, I would say that covers 3. Another 2 is covered by demand destruction. So what you're really missing, the effect on that oil price over the next, even up to 5 weeks, 6 weeks, is only 3 to 4 million barrels a day.
Yeah,
now, that should not have a 40% move in the price.
No, correct. And it's not. If you look at and this is another nuance that people need to understand, the front month contract is incredibly volatile. Yeah. Look at the December contract. It's right. It's back where is it trading right now, the December contract?
It's been in the 80s.
Yeah, it hasn't moved much at all, right? Which tells you exactly what the market thinks about that. But the point you've just made is critical, right? It's all well and good to think the world's coming to an end in the oil market, but when you actually look at the numbers and use your brain, this is not the end of it's a massive disruption. It's the biggest net disruption we've had in a short space of time. However, it boils down to less than 10% of global oil supply. Once we factor in everything you've just said. So that means that things have to escalate really dramatically, for it to be, a bigger problem. Yeah.
And for the amount of time this goes on. If you think this goes on for 4 months...
that's a different ballgame.
Absolutely. Yeah. Oil should be 120 to 150.
Yeah, exactly. But, it's hard to imagine this goes on for 4 months.
Yeah.
I can't see a world in which that is the way this plays out. But then again, we are in a war situation. So
it's that old problem. If you're battling against Trump, the G7, the Europeans, I'd be fairly happy battling against.
Yeah, exactly.
The Japanese, huge strategic reserves. But if you're battling against everybody on one side, trying to get the ships through the Strait of Hormuz, trying to get the war to come to an end, trying to, do what they're doing military-wise, that's a brave person to fight the whole world.
It's I can't see how it's and listen, Iran are doing what they do, which is they're very proud and they're actually pretty punchy, capable military, etc., and they're prepared for this, and then they're going I think the appointment of the Ayatollah's son is the biggest middle finger to Trump in America you could ever have, right? That was the one person that he did not want to be appointed, and these guys talk a massive game, and they actually they've got a set of balls on them, these people, right? I mean, they're firing rockets into.
How nervous would you be if you were in his shoes, though?
Very.
You've got the biggest target on your back.
Yeah, big time. But Trump's response was extraordinary. He's like, it was that they were talking about taking him out. And he's like, that would be a big mistake. I've left instructions. It's just, right. The whole thing is just so crazy, man.
How about Trump being taken out?
Yeah. Like if Trump says, if I get taken out,
right,
I've left instructions. That would be a bad idea.
Oh God! And the codes.
Just wipe them out. Yeah, exactly.
Jeez.
So listen, we're laughing about a very, very unfunny matter, but the point being is that it's very, very, very hard to imagine that this situation goes on for much longer than a couple more weeks, or maybe 3, maybe 4. I can't even imagine that.
But then, of course,
then again, I did say that it would be quicker in the beginning. So
what really moved markets last night was this ridiculous interview with CBS. That was ridiculous.
What was that about?
To move markets. CBS went out with a strapline. Trump says war is nearly done.
Oh yeah, well that was obviously
not in quotation marks, right? Because that's not what he said. Yeah. What he said.
Yeah, they actually got ahead of it. Yeah.
Typical throwaway comment that he makes, which is largely propaganda.
Yeah.
And part of his negotiation tactics, but the market responded. Why did the market?
Well, because the market, in the very, very, very short term, and particularly the algorithms that are trading, we all know that they're incredibly emotional and dumb, for want of a better word.
Unemotional in that they took that to be fact.
Yeah, sorry, yeah, exactly. So they, and there's a lot of machines trading those headlines, right? So net, there has been I suppose, a mild. Sort of a mild softening of the tone, but also not really. I mean, listen to Pete Hegseth just came in and just.
Yeah, what did he just say?
I mean, Pete Hegseth said today to Tuesday. Today will be the most aggressive strikes to date. So we're obviously still in the eye of the storm, but. I still think that look at oil prices. There, oil prices are still down 6% on the day. We're hovering around 89 at the moment. And if the market thought that this was going to be a bigger problem, oil prices would be a lot higher. So, and equities as well, right? Equities. I've turned my attention in terms of the hedging of the book to the Russell index, which of course is full of economically sensitive stuff.
Much better. It was off.
Yeah, because you've got to remember that the QQQ is now full of high quality tech companies which have been recently sold, and they are actually quite defensive. So the whole market paradigm has shifted, right? We've gone from the economy being great and everyone piling into economically sensitive value risk, which of course is Japan and Europe, and equal weight S&P, and tech being off the boil. To now suddenly tech, everyone gets reminded that these pristine balance sheets and global businesses are actually quite defensive.
Yeah.
So I've shifted my book around a bit with that as well. But
so the real beta is in the DAX.
Yeah.
Because of gas prices and energy prices, in the Russell because economically sensitive, and then in emerging markets because they had run so far.
And interestingly, you need to break down emerging markets because, of course, Chinese tech, which is separated from the Hang Seng value portion, so Chinese tech, which is best represented by the K-Web, has completely stopped going down.
You bought some of this last week, didn't you?
I bought some last week because it's I know this very well, obviously, with my history with Asia. But this is packed full of, the biggest holdings, of course, are Alibaba, Tencent, Pinduoduo, Meituan, NetEase, and Baidu, the top 7 holdings. And Alibaba's numbers are on the 19th, but there's loads of high quality companies there that have already been aggressively sold, and they've started to outperform. And you look at K-Web versus, say, the metals and mining ETF over the last week, it's been massive outperformance by K-Web. The market
It's on the LSE, of course.
Yeah, exactly. So the market continues to be I sent out a TikTok, on this the other day saying it's a trader's paradise. It rubs people up the wrong way, but I mean it. If you're a trader, you're having a lot.
It is conditions for trading.
It's brilliant for trading, right? I'm absolutely having a ball. My book's up miles, and I quite frankly I love volatility. So the more the merrier. But you've got to be switched on.
So that's the K-Web. It's only just turned.
It's only just started. This is literally just that. Look at the level, mate.
Wow.
It's big time. This is high conviction stuff, pal. For me.
Right. So you, let's say Iran came to an end, you would still be in favour of this.
Same thing, yeah. All good.
Wow. If you look at that, like in relation to the Nikkei or the EM or the
this has been over in its listen, there's a lot of nuance to these Chinese tech companies, right? If tomorrow morning we woke up and the China risk, and by that I mean delisting risk, the government meddling in these companies, some of the holding structure, the VIE holding structure stuff, and just the general vibe that global investors have taken their long only money out of Asia. If suddenly tomorrow morning these stocks were not Chinese, they'd be a lot higher, right? This is the equivalent of Mag 7, but in China, and it's very oversold. And we'll see what Alibaba have got to say on the 19th. But I like it at these levels.
Yeah. Right, good morning. Good morning. Jeez, just because we're an hour earlier, I think we've missed, quite a lot of people have missed the fact that the show will be an hour earlier.
Of course, my favourite time of year, when we get when the US market, pre-market opens at 8 and the actual market opens at...
You prefer it?
I love it because I'm...
Do you?
Yeah.
1:30 till 8.
I love it because it means I get antsy. I want to see the pre-market board in the morning, and I have to wait till 9. Now I get to 8. And it means I can have one extra hour. I have to work till 9 every night, right?
With IG, you get the pre-market at 8.
I'm talking about the actual main board. With IG, you get 24 hours on most things. I'm talking about the real market. The spread betting market is often miles away from what happens when the real market opens.
Great. Maturin, good to have you on, sir. How are you? Buenos dias. The man's over in Alicante.
Stu brought up the subject of hymns. We definitely have to talk about that.
We do have to speak about hymns. We shall be speaking about that. Daniel, just asking quickly, so do you chaps feel the markets still have got lower to go and will go more defensive? Or are we now... Trump said the war was over last night.
Well, it's obviously not, mate. We just all...
Well, the market didn't think it was. The market pumped 2%.
Yeah.
As DAX is up this morning. Do we think that we've still got a week, 2 weeks to go? Are there still surprises to come?
My answer to that question is the following. My base case is that this is over. I was having I made a bet with someone in the office this morning. I said, if 2 weeks from now this is not massively de-risked, I owe you a pint or whatever it may be, right? So that's my thought process on where we are.
Right.
And the book is set up for that, right? And I'm just going to trade around. So like this morning, I took off the Russell Index hedge yesterday early in the day, which turned out to be good, and I put it back on this morning. But the book's full of stuff that's kind of...
I think that's a good point, is we're both hedged, right? I'm short S&P 500. I've sold... I had bought some Alphabet at $292.
Wow.
Sold it at 302. I had... What were the other sort of intraday? Oh, I bought some Thales.
You love that.
Thales, the European defence name that builds the drones. Loved that. Bought it 239, sold it 245. And then London Guide asking us thoughts on IAG. I bought IAG in my ISA, and I also bought some EasyJet in my ISA.
Oh yeah.
First thing yesterday morning, 10 past 8.
I bought the Jets ETF yesterday and some Delta.
So we both bought airlines yesterday because we know
I'm easing into it though because I don't believe that oil's finished being a pain in the ass. So
do you not?
No, no. Look what it's doing. I mean, it's trying its best right now. I bought 1/3. I bought half a position in the Jets ETF for the macro book, and I bought 1/3 of a position in Delta. I've got quite a few names, so actually it's probably more like half a position. I've got room for another clip of Delta. And why am I buying Delta? It's worth mentioning, by the way, to everyone that and I think this is an interesting point, right? Back in the day, during the 90s, the Gulf War, a lot of these airlines put in place massive hedging strategies. Southwest famously saved themselves $3.5 billion by hedging. These days, the airlines have no hedging. I don't know whether people know that, but there's no hedging. And the reason why that is because they, the structure, global structure, they're comfortable with the global structure of the oil market. Situations like this make it a bit hairy for them. So you can take your pick. I mean, Delta to me is the highest quality airline. It's being hammered. So I bought one clip. I've got room for one more. So we'll see how we go. And the Jets ETF is an easier way to just do the whole group. But yeah, my thoughts are aligned with you on that one.
IAG was interested. For the first time, I realised that you don't pay stamp duty on IAG because it's a Spanish company.
Oh yeah, no, that's a good point.
Listed on the LSE. So that was nice. I got it at £3.48. £3.48.
That gap. It's that gap.
But yeah, look at the. So that it was at £4.20.
Such a bad bloody company, though, isn't it?
But is it?
I don't know. I mean, is it? It's
you
just like it's a
remember
terrible.
it to be.
British Airways, which is obviously only one of their airlines, is got to be one of the worst airlines in the world. But unfortunately, yeah.
It's had a good couple of years though. Let's look at it on the daily.
Actually, I flew with them to Hong Kong the other day. It wasn't actually was a lot better than I expected.
Great stock. Somebody tell me if the Cheltenham race has started, please. If you've also, it is. How far through it are they, Phil? How far does it say it's got to go? I'm on Talk the Talk. If anybody wants to tell me if it's already fallen. If it's already fallen, we won't take a break.
So, do you want to talk about HIMS?
We'll talk about HIMS after the break.
After the break, we'll talk about HIMS.
Yeah, 5 minutes. So you've gone for the Jets ETF.
Yep.
I've gone for
Delta,
IAG. But you still are a little bit worried about.
I'm not convinced that we don't have another spike.
Okay.
I'm not, like, my conviction levels on oil collapsing back to the 70s without a spike first are quite low.
I don't think it should have gone from 91 to 82 yesterday because I don't believe Trump.
Yeah,
that's basically.
There's price discovery on the front month contract, right? Yeah. I'm trading the front month contract, so you have to be very careful with that because it takes a while to sort itself out, right? And it doesn't matter whether we can go through the fundamentals, but the people trading this thing have a whole bunch of things going on. There's hedging, there's speculation, there's this, there's that. So it takes a while to sort itself out. So do I think? Yeah, I'm kind of prepared for oil to have another little spike, airlines to have another small dip, and then I'll get shorter oil and longer airlines. So that's the thought process. And you know what? If that's wrong and oil collapses and airlines rip, so be it. I've got a position, so it's fine, whatever. But I'm not going all in yet.
Not yet. Good stuff.
I would like to go all in, though. It's quite a fun trade. Right? Because these are these binary moments.
Well, that's what I said it on the desk this morning. You only get 4 opportunities a year, and oil at 115 yesterday was one of those 4. Smarter Web at 33 pence on the 4th of January was mine. So I've used 2 of mine in the first 3 months.
Silver at 130.
That was scary.
It was scary. It was much scarier, but it was still the wrong price.
It was too scary. Right, we're going to take a really quick break.
Oracle and HIMS talking about after the break, guys.
We'll see you then.
In a world full of noise and uncertainty, IG is the investment platform that backs you. Forget the dubious tips from that guy down the pub. Get real-time insights, analysis and tools. No more fat cat brokers clawing your gains. Pay zero commission on your investments. Switch to a platform trusted by investors for over 50 years. IG. Trade, invest, progress.
What a race, what a race, what a finish. So the leader, I think it was it Sober Glory that was out in the lead, or Mighty Park? Out in the lead, hit the second last, and then the favourite came up and won on the inside.
Exciting.
Exciting.
Did you make any money, mate?
No, I had, well, I don't know where mine was actually. Mine wasn't anywhere.
I'll tell you why I don't have much interest in betting on horse races is that I grew up in Australia riding horses every day in my life, and I used to actually have like very close ties to family and friends who had horses, and it is the ultimate gambling. It does not matter what you think you know about a horse. The chances, I mean, it is honestly, you may as well just...
But that's why I love Cheltenham, because it's the one place that it's the... You know, the world champions, the Olympics of horse racing.
Yeah.
So the best horses generally.
Yeah, no, fair enough.
have.
Fair enough. And listen, and of course, you know, if there are some people who are massively dialed in, and that's great. But yeah, I just find I prefer to do my very educated gambling in the market.
Talking of which, we've got 2 minutes till the open, so let's talk about Hims. Hims, the one that you tried to get me to buy last week, and I told you to pee off.
There's a little trend forming here. It's been going on for a decade.
What's the news?
So Hims and Hers, which of course is one of the worst performing stocks in the market over the last 6 months, had a massive fall from grace. They've got FDA investigations due to the copycat pills, etc., etc., etc. Now, the most important thing about this and why I owned it for two reasons. One, because the business is still solid, the cash flow is still solid.
So what do they actually do?
So these guys are essentially an online pharmacy. They're part of the modern world of pharmacies and selling drugs to the public. And the way they do it is particularly aggressive. They became very famous during last year's Super Bowl. They did this big ad. They're all about. They market themselves to Main Street, saying we are standing up against the administration. We can circumvent the FDA. We can undercut the big pharmaceutical companies, and we can make your life much easier. And we are your friend, right? And that's great, and they're very aggressive at it, and they've done very well. But you can't circumvent the FDA, and they're fighting a big behemoth. But what's most interesting about this story is that Novo had a collaboration with them. Then they pulled out of the collaboration because they weren't quite happy about some of the corporate governance that was going on inside the company. Fast forward. Novo's got their issues with regard to the competition, and they've got issues. And then my thoughts were that it was obviously, it's an educated guess, but was that they need each other, and it makes sense that they reversed that back again. Right. And that's exactly what's happened.
So the worst things we're getting for the two of them.
Worst case scenario is off the table. Yeah. And we are off and racing, Rich.
Can I also say thank you to Cheltenham for changing the time of the first race? Because I have moaned for years, half the city is at Cheltenham, but also Wall Street Open is the time of the first race. So at last they've changed it to 10 minutes beforehand. Right,
Look at
crowds
HIMS, by the way. Wow, up she goes.
up 8%.
And that's on the back of 2 upgrades to neutral. That just shows you how aggressively negative the positioning was. I wish I'd hold on to it now. Whatever. Made 47%. I also shorted it yesterday when it was up. But anyway, it's a high octane name. Definitely not a name for people to be trading unless they are can have quite a high touch way of doing things. It's not an investment name.
Right, leaders out of the gate then. Citigroup, $109, up 2.5%. We got Micron edging back towards $400. Remember, we've seen it at 444. We've seen it back down to 375, and now at approaching 400 there. Broadcom, great results last week, up 1.3%, $350. I'll ask your comment on them in a minute. Yep. Oracle, ahead of numbers tonight. We're going to preview that shortly. Oracle up 1% at $153. The biggest losers of the day, there's not too many.
It's a pretty flatty day, isn't it? So the software's and by the way, guys, so was the semiconductors versus software. I've talked about it a lot. Software has a massive outperformance for about a week or two, and then that spread is tightening up again a little bit, which makes sense. Software, of course, come off the ball a bit, and semiconductors having a rip back. I bought some AMD yesterday, and I've got that against SanDisk, which is not really working today.
When did you get AMD at the?
I bought AMD yesterday. Listen, I've got a lot of history with this stock, and I bang on about it a lot, but I haven't actually owned it for a long time because, I owned it back in the sort of 2015, 16, 17 years when it was, back when they were almost going bankrupt, amazingly. But now these days, it's a tough name to own. It lives in its own sort of universe. Sometimes it has random moves. But they have a lot going for them. They've got the OpenAI deal, they've got the Meta deal. They've got, the only issue, and I was talking to the community about this yesterday, is that they haven't had their ChatGPT moment. And by that, I mean, they've always been expensive, and they still are expensive, less so.
They're always Tottenham, aren't they?
A little
bit. Win a trophy.
A little bit, yeah. And it's strange, but what they need to do is they need to do what Nvidia did when they gave their earnings report after ChatGPT, right? And then you saw the top and the bottom line explode higher, and everyone goes, aha, okay, fine, now I understand why we've been paying up for this company all this time.
Yeah.
So that moment hasn't really arrived for AMD, so it remains a little bit of a battleground. But there's enough, it's come back enough for me to have a nibble at it, which I did yesterday. But I told you, I shorted SanDisk against it, which is now, that pair trade's not working today. But I'm gonna let it ride for the time being.
Bitcoin, huge move last week, came back off 67, and now back up. So strategy kind of mirroring that, really. Strategy's had a tricky time of it. But we've
Strategy's the price action in Strategy stands out being pretty solid to me. It's been great, actually.
Yeah, but it's stuck in a 10% range, basically, is what I'm trying to say, really. So
fair enough.
Since the 23rd of February, we've seen it range bound between 126 and 146, really. That $20 range is holding, as Bitcoin's kind of stuck in a range as well, really, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. It is notable that Strategy's sellers have become very, very, very tired, to say the least.
Yeah. Right, back to Broadcom then. So Broadcom, great set of results.
Yeah.
But the strongest point it had was pre-market, because obviously Friday was a terrible day in the market. So let's just go back and get all of that from pre-market. There we go. So Broadcom. Aftermarket Wednesday, so we have not been on air since those numbers came out. It jumped from 320 to 335 and is now breaking highs at $349.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Broadcom, as we discussed before, are super, super high quality, and they've got valuation support to a degree, and they are the slightly less celebrated name that should be in Mag 7. There's nothing less magnificent about this than the names in the Mag 7, and the numbers the other day were testament to that. So weirdly, it's not a name I've owned before. I don't know why that is. There's no particular reason. I don't know why that is. It's just I just haven't. But it's a very, very high quality company, and there's nothing. It's very hard to mount a negative case for these guys.
The chat getting excited about AAOI.
Yeah, so that's AAOI. Can you bring that up?
Yeah.
So these guys are fiber. This has had another. I was short, but
Wow.
I got out of it yesterday.
Wow.
What's it up now on the day?
It's at 120.
Yeah, there we go. Okay, good. So we're getting there. We're getting close to the moment where I wouldn't mind having a crack at this
You
again.
gonna have a crack at it again?
Yeah. Well, yeah, but not. It's a spicy little beast. It got upgraded yesterday. That's why it's going bananas. They had a $200 million contract. These guys are.
Do they also have oil under their factories or what?
No, they don't. But they are. These guys are providing fiber optics to data centers. So it's all very sexy and beautiful. But there is a point. Listen, I stepped aside. I covered it yesterday. There was some good news. The price action was wrong, so I got out of it. And then, thankfully, I don't have to partake in what's going on here. But I'm going to watch it. It's. I don't really need to fight that fight today. I don't think.
That sounds painful.
It's certainly not your fight. Something that you'd like to be involved in.
Right, let's take a quick look at the UK names. What's been the big stories in the UK? Well,
I bought some oak. Oh, yeah, that's another name you don't really care about, but.
The FTSE's having a huge day today. We're, of course, seeing recovery in the mining stocks. So Anglo-American up 5.8. You had a fantastic opportunity to buy Rios yesterday. I managed to pick some of those up below £65. Of course, they've been trading up near 70 for most of the last few weeks. Rolls-Royce up 5. Now, that's because of the airlines, obviously. Those, you don't... Your demand for airlines goes down when half of them can't fly over the normal
Yeah, well, there we go.
route.
Speaking of airlines, how are we doing here on this little puppy?
Wizz Air was up 8% earlier, only up 5 now. IAG's up 4.
I can't. So for some reason, I don't have Delta on my screen. Yeah. So can you bring up the Jets ETF quickly?
I tell you what, there's some big moves here. The FTSE's becoming more volatile than some of your fun stuff.
Well, I mean,
SSE up 2.7.
Yeah. Well, I think markets are just. I think markets are becoming more volatile by the day. But you've got to remember that the FTSE's now suddenly become popular and fashionable again. So there's a lot more volume, a lot more people trading it, and it's so that comes with the volatility, comes with that territory, I guess.
For those of you who trade BP opened up 2.8% yesterday, then slipped back, and it was only up about 1.5% at one point because we're seeing such a weak day in the FTSE. But down 2% today, of course, that big oil move. And then there's Rio's 67.60. They opened at 64.70 yesterday, so they put on £3 since then. Even though I tell you what, the obvious reason to buy them yesterday was iron ore was up on the day overnight, and JP Morgan downgraded the stock to neutral, and it was down 5% on a JP Morgan downgrade.
Yeah, I mean that's a little bit much, isn't it?
Yeah. Diageo, ooh, right. I've got some of those on the book. What are we thinking there? Because why are they down today when the rest of the FTSE's up and away?
Because we're waiting for news. Listen, what happened the other day? Listen, there's no way to sugarcoat it. It was this company's having a bad time, but it's the thing is that they're having a bad time, but they don't have any financial problems. So I'm willing to be patient. I don't have a massive position. It can do what it wants today. I'm kind of just putting it to one side for the time being.
The chairman's bought stock, only 400 shares though. I think you and I have got more shares than that, don't we?
Oh yeah, probably.
So just really dismal. I did buy some of these yesterday, 14.96, but they're almost back there.
Yeah.
Which is a shame because every other stock in the world is up in the last 24 hours, and this one is unchanged.
Yeah, listen, I'm just being patient. I don't really care too much. It's just in the book, sitting to one side. I've got other things going on. Novo's notably down today as well. That's the other one that's obviously had a nice little rally off the lows. But these are battleground stocks, so it's not too much of an issue. Right. Listen, the markets. It's interesting to note, isn't it? The markets really doesn't know what it wants to do right now, quite frankly. It's very much in a holding pattern.
Tell you what we can talk about that you had a
Micron's
fantastic opportunity. And we haven't talked about the non-farm payrolls yet. The 10-year.
Yep.
I bought some of this 10-year after the jobs number on Friday, right? So just a reminder for those of you that aren't used to trading bonds, don't really know much about bonds. We had a really interesting situation last week, which we talked about on the show. The price of oil going up took interest rate expectations higher. When interest rate expectations go higher, the bond yields go higher, meaning the bond prices go lower. So you saw treasuries, such as this 10-year note, get hit quite aggressively since the start of the war, right? We've come down from 113.60 to well, yesterday morning we were at 111.90. Those are big moves in bond world, right? Because there's a lot more size that is traded on this. So 100 basis points is massive. Now, the jobs number, of course, being so weak on Friday, means that interest rate expectations should have come down, because higher unemployment than expected, terrible jobs number, meant that the chance of interest rate cuts should actually be much more higher probability. So therefore, bond yields should have dropped and bond prices should have recovered. They did for about 8 minutes. And that was on Friday. You see this here, right? See this spike on the line? So they jumped up at, were we still on the old clocks? Yeah, 1:30. So let's get this down to actual 15 minutes to give you a better representation of it. Where are we? Yeah, Friday. So they jumped up and then they came back down. And this was a golden opportunity to buy your treasuries. Then we saw them rally through the afternoon, right? So that's more chances of interest rate cuts because you've had a terrible jobs number. But then, of course, the huge move in oil over the weekend had your second bite of the cherry here to buy 10s. Gilts were getting destroyed. That's UK equivalent of this as well. And then as oil prices came off, you can see a huge rally in bond prices. And these are really volatile times for this.
Yeah, the bonds are crazy. I mean, if you look at the, and this is a great example of how, and going back to the point I made to you, actually, I think you used this as a clip about one of our arguments when I said to you that you were talking about the forward prices for interest rates cuts or the forward prices for the Fed. And I said, it's just, I don't know why anyone pays attention to that, because they're always wrong and they're incredibly volatile. If you look at what happened from Sunday night when oil was at 120, the UK, the rate expectations in the UK went from 2 cuts to 1 hike.
Yeah.
In the space of 12 hours. Now, if anyone wants
are not hiking rates.
But if anyone wants an example of why you do not need to pay attention to the short-term fluctuations in the forward expectations for rate cuts or the bond market, just look at that. It doesn't matter whether you look at the forward expectations for that or the forward it's all the same thing. It's just very short-term stuff, and it doesn't, it's a hell of a long way away from gospel. But yeah, there's some crazy moves across the board. But you know what? If you look at credit, right, and I think credit is worth a mention because real professionals, or people who love to consider themselves as real professionals, they use the credit markets as their guide for stress in the financial markets. They don't look at oil. They don't look at equities, although that's an interesting thing to note. They look at the credit markets and the credit spreads, and they haven't really budged at all. Yeah. So it's worth noting that it's all well and good that we've got some volatility going on, but Europe is still up 7%. And the S&P has barely moved, and credit spreads have not moved. So there's not really much going on.
Do you classify yourself as a real professional then?
I hope so, man. I mean, I've done this for a long time, so at some points I've got to say that, don't I?
Your troll on TikTok doesn't seem to think
Let's
so.
not go into that. I don't want him to get any more airtime.
Piers has an official troll, and it's very, very funny.
It's got quite personal now, which I don't find funny at all. But do you know what? This first of all, like, how has this guy got so much time? First of all, second of all, why is he so emotional about it? but he claims to be this forensically detailed guy.
Yeah,
but he
been
hasn't
watching
looked
2-minute
at any. He hasn't the company that he's trying to compare to Aerotyne. I would imagine just to get clicks. Is he hasn't even looked at the boardroom, at the government contracts, at anything really. He's
been watching Bill. If you watched Industry on BBC,
yeah.
they do exactly the same thing in Industry, and that's why he's done it. That's where he's got the idea from.
Yeah.
And he doesn't realise that tech companies might actually have justification for not having,
especially ones that are in the R&D stage.
yeah.
I mean, but I just keep referring to the one point is that he's talking about a company being a fraud and being a financial it's going to go out of business, right? But the guy who was in charge of the largest company on planet Earth's finances for 22 years is on the board of Illuma.
Yeah.
So he's essentially calling Mike Byron a moron, which I think that Mike might have a few things to say about that. Anyway, I think that guy's got enough airtime for now.
He's just awful. Did you mean Piers or his troll? I don't know, Elspeth. I don't know which one you mean. Right, we've got Oracle tonight, talking about the Oracle that Piers is.
Yeah, here we go. Which is now listen, I've cut, as I said, I've cut my position down to 2,000 shares, so it's not relevant to the book. And I'm prepared for anything. So I just want to make that very, very clear. I have a position, a small position.
I've got some in my ISA.
It's very de-risked due to the expectations that have been brought down. We've got all of the credit problems, if you want to call them problems, well priced in. The OpenAI pulled out of that Texas plant the other day. Why did they do that? By the way, there is nuance to that. They did that. It's a massive data center that they're involved in with OpenAI and Oracle. And OpenAI said that they don't want to go ahead with it because they don't want to use 2 generations of NVIDIA's chips. They don't want to use Rubin and the current generation. They said they want to wait until that's done. So in the meantime, NVIDIA have said, we'll take the plant off you. So they're so punchy that we'll have that.
Yeah.
But is that a negative for Oracle? I just think it's a nothing for Oracle. It's just literally just that. So what matters tonight is can they achieve 19% revenue growth or better in the overall business, and can they achieve 79% revenue growth in the cloud infrastructure AI business? It's a big number, and it just goes to show you, right? I mean, obviously the overall revenue is 19%, which is a pretty healthy clip for a company of this size. But that data center, that cloud data center revenue is going to be really interesting to watch, to say the least.
Barclays cutting target price to $230 from $310. Okay, so only the 60% upside.
This is the thing. It's one of the most interesting situations I've come across in recent times, because I completely understand why the market has fallen out of love with this company, and you have to respect the balance sheet. It's very levered. You have to respect that. This market is not a market that's celebrating leveraged balance sheets. There's no question about that. So take that all into consideration.
Can he say enough? Can he say?
But the thing is, the way I think about this stock, and it's similar in this regard to things like Novo and Diageo. And this is something that I suppose I'm really good at, but also really bad at, right? And it's not, if you want to look at it like that. In 1 year from now, if Oracle is 75% higher, or whatever the number is, right? That's what I'm thinking about. In the next 3 weeks or even 3 months, I'm willing to wait, and I just want to have a clip. I want to be involved. It's not. There's no opportunity cost in my book. I've got loads of cash. I just want to be there because I like companies that are fundamentally undervalued, and I'm willing to chop around in them whilst I've got other things going on, and that's my thought process.
Our good friend Mango has come up with a great idea. Mango has said, "Can we have a poll on Oracle? What shall we ask? What's the question that we should have?"
These guys put so much emphasis on the earnings. Anything could happen tonight, anything. But yeah, I mean, I've got. In many ways, I wouldn't bother me if it goes down, because then it gives me an opportunity. If it goes up 10%, I'll be slightly irritated because I've only got 2,000 shares. That's my thought process.
Yeah, it's.
But no doubt, everyone will have a position that's way too big. They won't listen to the position sizing. This is what happens all the time. And because they would like to get really excited about like, here we go. This could be my gamble moment. Don't do it. Don't do it.
I'll tell you where I am with it. I think this stock is 180. It will trade 180, right?
Yep.
Now I don't know when that is. On the path to 180, it could trade at 125. So what you're saying is, if I don't hold the stock through tonight, will I be really annoyed if it goes to 180? Yes, I will be, because I've got conviction that it'll go there, but I don't have conviction that it'll go there tonight or even in the next 3 months.
Well, there we go. So
therefore, do I want to see the P&L tomorrow of it being down 7%? No, not particularly.
Not really.
Can I take the hit? Yeah.
It wouldn't bother me if it's down 7% at all.
Because I don't have it on leverage. I've got it in my ISA for that precise reason, that I do not want to hold this on leverage. Now, we can have a look at the options market. That would be more appropriate.
Delta. So the airlines are obviously down a bit.
See, that's a great trade. What I could do. So you're happy to buy it down 10%?
Yeah, of course.
Right.
So it depends what they say, right? But yeah,
okay.
In theory.
So then you would sell a 135 put, right?
Yep.
Then I would buy a 155 call.
Yep.
But because I've got them in my ISA and I want to sell them at 180 anyway, I would sell double the size of the call at 180. So I would sell the stock I buy at 155 and I would sell the stock in my ISA at 180.
Fair enough.
PMCE Services saying that it's 10% expected move in the options.
There we go, and I love that, because that's more often than not right. Listen, I hate earnings so much. It's just gambling, mate. It could easily be down 10%, but that's why I've only got 2,000 shares. And you know what? I'd be once every time that these guys go through an earnings report and the expectations are brought down. Unless something fundamentally changes.
Look at from the open. They dropped 2% from the open.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's software, right? Software's for sale today.
Is the whole market coming off? No.
Yeah, it depends what you're looking at, but yeah, a little bit, yeah.
The P&L is ticking along nicely. That's right. We are
up 3%.
We are almost up 10,000, but remember that is from a reduced capital amount. So the total P&L since inception, since you started watching this show, we've been at it 2 months now, is we started off with 100,000, so that's a loss of 5,600. 10,000 minus 5,600 is 4,400. Our profit at this point, all costs included, all IG financing, everything, all in, is £4,600. It's all right? 4,000. We're up 4.6% in 2 months.
That's fun.
Considering that we've been involved in silver and had a horrible time, we've been involved in oil, we've been involved in Micron.
Yeah, that wasn't fun.
Which I got stopped out on.
Yeah.
I've got some Nike. We're down $600 in Nike. Diageo we managed to avoid, thankfully, and everything else. Oh, Palantir. Now, I'm short 200 Palantir at the moment. Why is that? Because
you finally listened to me that they're overvalued. Yay.
Well, no, because they're at 150. They were at 156. That's why. These have gone up because of the war.
Yep.
Now, Trump told us yesterday that the war's done. The war's finished. Yes. So why aren't they going back down again?
Well, I think there's other things going on in Palantir, mate. I think this is the Palantir has...
Do you think this
2026 is not 2025? I think that the news flow with regard to Palantir is almost irrelevant. I think that there is this is one of the most crowded stocks in the world, and the market has realized that it's not quite happy paying that price, and there are and it's slowly, but every single rally gets sold, which is people unwinding.
That's what I'm playing for. So the stock's rallied from 140 to 153 because of the war. That's all it is rallied on.
Yep, so, Illuma's up. Well, that's nice, 5%. We'll take that.
So do you agree that it's going to drop from 154 back down to 140?
Kind of, yeah. I mean, listen, you know my thoughts. I think it's overvalued.
But is it a defence name?
It is a defence name, but then again, it's not trading like that at the moment. Plus, defence names have actually had a really tough time recently, regardless of news flow, mainly because they're very crowded. Anything that's really crowded, I don't like that much.
Yeah.
And that definitely includes our friend Palantir. I bought some plug yesterday. I bought my plug back at 2.12. It's trading at 2.35. I'm tempted to just book that profit because it's a nice little trade. I'm going to do that now, actually.
Mature, and sorry, I'm going to go against you here. Based on the chart in Oracle, you can't understand the timing of entering now. The chart's got nothing to do with numbers. This is where I do not believe in...
oh, yeah, no, the chart can change in 3 seconds.
Yeah. The chart doesn't know what the numbers are. People don't know what the numbers are. Therefore, it's irrelevant what the chart is telling you going into numbers.
Yeah. Listen, guys, technicals are really exciting to talk about until they're not. Right? And earnings, if the chart can change, in this chart in particular, could change like that. So talking about the chart is very interesting always, but of course earnings are earnings. So
yeah. That's the 1 day of the, 4 days of the year when the technicals, if they're good numbers, then suddenly, oh, the chart looks like a buy.
Yeah, exactly. I use technicals to back up fundamentals, not the other way around.
Of course, that's just my opinion, Mature. I know that there are technical analysts would say, yeah, but it's all in the chart's telling you what the numbers are going to be.
And by the way, can I just say that's a very good point, right? Technicals often tell you what you're about to have. Many times that happens, right? You look at the technicals in a company, and the stock is flying, and you're not quite sure why, and then you'll have some news or some earnings, and then it will confirm what the technicals have already told you. So there is that, of course there is. But but then again, it can change on a dime. That's the point I think that we all need to pay attention to.
Right, next race is off in 2.5 minutes, so I am going to be running. It is we got Lulamba, which is one of Nico de Bonville's, and against Copet de Bordes.
Nice one.
Do you want number 3 or number 4, Piers? Pretty much a 2-horse race.
4.
Number 4. You're going for Lulamba.
Yeah.
Right.
That's the one.
Yeah, Maturin, I agree. It's a coin flip of a trade.
It's not a trade. In fact, it's a nothing.
It's not a trade.
It's a zero. I actually, I feel like I'm not even speaking English because I'm not necessarily speaking to them. But a lot of people like in TikTok are just like so obsessed with what happens with Oracle's earnings. Mm-hmm. I don't have a big position, and I genuinely don't care what happens tonight.
We do, because as soon
as it goes up, that confirms the fact that that things are on track, and I've got a small position. So great. If it goes down, great too, because I can buy more. So and earnings, I just hate them. Full stop. I just hate them so much. I
completely disagree. I think that's utter bollocks.
Okay.
Earnings is when you can actually hear exactly.
No. I love hearing what the company. I hate trading them. I don't like trading earnings.
Yeah.
I love hearing what the company's got to tell us.
Right.
But most of the time, I like to hear what they've got to say, and then make a decision. It just so happens that I've got.
That's what I'm saying. So as soon as you read that, then you get excited.
But you love trading. You love trading after hours earnings and getting your.
I like taking what. No, I think it's the opportunity to really
listen.
Get involved.
I think I can't wait to hear what they have to say. Let me get that right, straight.
That's better.
But I'm not. No, but that's what I meant, right? I don't like trading earnings. I love hearing what the company's got to tell us.
Yeah.
Very much so.
On that note, I love hearing what you've got to tell us.
Go on then.
So I want to be here again tomorrow to hear more of your wise words of wisdom. Yeah, exactly, Mature. The trading can divide the crowd. Technicals and fundamentals definitely divide the crowd. We shall see you tomorrow. I'm off to the pub with my good friend Ulick to watch the rest of the Cheltenham race this afternoon. Unfortunately, his dad's horse has pulled up lame in training this morning. So that was our big hot tip of the day, has unfortunately got injured. So not quite as exciting an afternoon as it could have been.
No.
We'll see you tomorrow, everybody. Remember,
guys, thank
1
you.
o'clock. For those of you, actually, do you know what? We should stay because there's probably more people joining now that think that we're always on at 2 o'clock. So if you are now joining at 2 o'clock, rewind. You've got the whole show. You can enjoy it as per normal, but you won't be able to ask us questions because, of course, the US have changed their clocks this week. The US opens an hour earlier. Therefore, the show for the next 2 weeks will be on between 1 p.m. and 2 p.m. Enjoy the rest of the day.
Thank you very much, guys. Thank you.
Enjoy playing Oracle's Earnings.
Yep.